Family Karma.
Family Karma friends.
Season 3.
Episodes 3 and 4 today. We're going to do like maybe just the big hits type of recap, right?
Yes.
Because
last week we interviewed Bali and
it was a holiday week, and I think we both needed just some time with our family and just it's good for us all to have breaks.
Detox.
Yeah.
I mean, not that we need a detox from Family Karma.
Well, so here, can we just talk about the episodes again? Because IMDb is still only saying 7 episodes. But I'm like,
oh, okay.
There's no way they can finish.
Yes.
Like, we're already through episode 4. There's no way they can do the rest of the season in 3 episodes, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think so. That would be ridiculous.
That would be nuts. Yeah. Like, if it's going to...
Give us some intel.
Yeah, if it's going to be 7 episodes, like, you might as well not even have a season.
Well, we always love a little bit of Family Karma. Yeah, I don't know the reasoning for it, especially it took so long to film.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, they started filming at the beginning of this year. It's like, you might as well turn it into something. And like, I just see so much positive feedback about this show online. It's just like, So anyway, the other thing I wanted to say before we get into the recap is that, so we now know who Anisha's husband is. A tip was sent to the fabulous ladies, or I think it's just Noor who hosts the Reality Is podcast now.
Oh, yeah.
And she put it on her stories and tagged us because
I would love to have them on the pod. Or her.
I know. We have to get them on. There is this someone created a fake Instagram account.
Yeah.
Because it's like one of those ones that's like they have 1 follower and they follow like 2 people or something. And sent a photo of who he is and his name and everything. Like, he's not on any social media. Was
it just him or a picture of him and Anisha to provide
just him.
Significant evidence? You know what I mean? Because I could just like grab a picture of someone.
No, it was definitely him. It's like his healthcare profile or something, because he's not on social media. Yeah, he's a doctor.
Okay.
And so Noor was like, I think that it must be a cast member who's leaking this, because who else would care enough?
That's so shady.
But I'm like, I don't think it's a cast member. Like, maybe it's like someone else in their circle of friends or something.
Right. And we know that the South Asian community down there likes to chit chat.
Yes. But I also think it could just be like a fan who's being an asshole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't really know. Anyway, so she posted it on their stories.
So Noor did post it?
Yeah, I didn't feel right about putting it on ours, honestly. Because I'm just like, you know what? This is Anisha's choice. Like, I know we've put stuff up before, but she asked me to take it down and things.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? It's going to come out.
We're not here to do a gotcha.
No. I will say, though, if you want to DM me, I will send you the screenshot. That's fine. If you really care, you can DM me on Instagram at Family Karma Cast with a K. And if you didn't see it on the Reality Is stories, because they had it there. I mean, so it's sort of like, now that it's out there, it's like, this is not a big fucking deal. Like,
did Anisha comment at all about it, or
I haven't seen her say anything about it?
Yeah.
It was just one of their stories, so like there weren't comments or anything, that I could see. Like, she probably didn't even see it.
Yeah,
I don't know. But anyway, it's out there.
It's out there. And I mean, she said on this latest episode, you can tell why she releases no information about her relationship, just because of the things that are misconstrued in the community. So,
so
I came around to her be understanding.
Yeah, it gave me a little bit more understanding, but I have a little bit more to say about that. But let's start with episode 3.
I'm so sorry, I don't have any notes on it, so just jog my memory.
So I'm just looking back at my notes from like a week ago. So basically, we see Richa confront Vishal when they're back in Miami. He's making breakfast for her.
Yes. And she has those gorgeous bracelets on.
She still has her bangles on, and she's like, "You're not drinking for a long time."
Yes.
Like, that's why you missed our wedding night, was because you blacked out. And I don't know. How do you feel about, and this can go into episode 4 too. Like, how do you just like feel about the whole situation with them?
Like knowing, I mean, it's what they did was like historic in their history book of a relationship. So I understand not wanting your husband to black out.
Yeah.
He seems sincere and understanding the reasoning. I do think from a health point of view, I think I totally get it. I totally get why she is really insisting he not drink, because like she said, she's the only one who receives the feedback about what happens to his body with his Crohn's disease. And I think that's really important, because when you have something as serious as that, what outweighs what? It's like, I feel like health should always outweigh like a good time. And I think as humans, like, we don't somatically always listen to our body, and we tend to ignore it. We feel and then ignore. And I think it's like for those of us who have had like dealt with upset stomachs our whole lives, or, I went through my stuff this summer. But like, you tend to just get on with your day, and then you just like, put stuff in your body that makes you feel shitty. And she's a great reminder of like, we all just need to listen to our bodies a little bit more, because our bodies have a really good instinct for what's going on and how to process our environment.
I thought it was really interesting when she brought that up. It was like something I hadn't even thought about, was that he has severe Crohn's disease. And like, and in one of the earlier seasons, I mean, he talked about like it really affects him like badly.
And remember when he got COVID, and it was like the Crohn's disease on top of the COVID was just made the COVID that much worse.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, and she's like, he's not putting it together that these two things are linked. But I'm seeing it like it's clear as day to her, Yeah. And so she said to Avni, like, I do think it's a problem. I don't think she means like in an alcoholic sense, more in a health, like Crohn's inflammation sense. And I'm not a professional. I can't say if like, oh, this is textbook alcoholism or not. I mean, clearly there is a dependency. I thought it was really telling when he was like, I know I can be that really fun person when I have that drink.
Yes, I know.
That was like, I just think so much of Vishal's like, he's such an entertainer, right? He really wants people to have a good time. And so he feels like if he gets a little loose, then he can sort of facilitate that even more. I don't know. That really like rang true to me during his wedding. Yeah. And then also when he made that comment, kind of like, oh, well, Amrit's celebrating and I need to like celebrate with him. So I'm going to like, have that drink and it's going to be okay. And it's just one drink and all of this. And I'm like, in that dinner with Brian and Amrit, he's like, it's just one drink, but he orders like a double margarita. Yeah. I'm like, that would put me like on the floor right now.
I know. Yeah. I think it's like, just like, it's important for all of us to evaluate our relationships to substances. And it's like, can you go to the party? Can you do XYZ without having a drink? And I can't.
Or any substance, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And because, it's in America, we do definitely live in like an alcohol consumer society. And like a lot of our socializing is centered around alcohol. I mean, all of the alcohol ads are targeted at like being on the beach, for example, like letting go. And there, relationships are formed around that, obviously, through substances. And, it's like, what happens if you're your best self without that substance? Yeah. What does that look like?
Yeah, totally. And it's like, and so, you know, I see where Richa is coming from. I've seen a lot of people be like, oh, she's being so controlling. She's so blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
stay out of it.
This is her relationship. Like she
and let's
said,
not forget, like alcohol is poison. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, it is poison. It was when people came to America, they gave alcohol to the indigenous people that lived here to take advantage of them, and it was used as a bartering system, and it was basically introduced to them and it is poison. You know what I mean? We throw up and we get sick because it poisons our body.
Yeah, you can get alcohol poisoning, literally. Yeah.
Yes, you can literally get alcohol poisoning. And I feel like for a lot of us, the older we get, we can't drink as much and as frequently as we used to, or like hangovers are that much, you know, it impacts the next day. And it's so easy to ride your life and just go along and be like, well, I'm going to accept this. I'm going to accept because I got to let loose for a couple hours. And I know I sound like a 12-step like leader, but I do think, just like in the industry, in my master's program and stuff, I do think it's important for us, especially around the holidays right now, where fucking things, like, people don't talk about, but things are really stressful and things kind of suck, and we're learning about like ourselves and turning into 2023, and it's like, what do we need to get through life and to make ourselves fill our cups and make us feel like our best selves?
Absolutely. Totally.
And if it's alcohol, then like you can DM me at like Family Karma Kast with a K. And I'm not going to chastise you, but I can lead you to some resources.
Yeah. I think that it brings up an interesting conversation. This is something we see across Bravo.
Oh my gosh. You talk about Summer House.
Yeah, I think this whole thing really brings up like Kyle and Amanda from Summer House, like their dynamic. And
is she drinking as much as he is?
Yeah, she drinks quite a bit too, but I think maybe not as frequently, or I don't know. It's interesting though. It's interesting to see couples dealing with this type of situation too. Like when Amrit makes that comment, like, you know, if it was a problem, like you would think Richa would not drink with him in solidarity.
You know, that's what Andrew kind of, he was doing work and he was listening and he was like, well, why is she drinking? And I was like, yeah, she is. It doesn't affect her health. And you know, that's something for couples therapy. You know, I don't know if we can.
No, there's no right answers, I think. But it's an interesting thing, too. It's like, you know, what kind of problem is it? Is it her responsibility to not do it, too? I mean, it's hard. Like, listen, I'm still not drinking, even though I'm postpartum, because I'm breastfeeding around the clock, and it's just like hard to even know when I would fit a drink in. But you know, when you're pregnant and stuff like that, you're not drinking, hopefully, and it's like, like I definitely am like, oh, if we go out to a restaurant, it's like, oh, I wish I could order a beer, I could like get a glass of wine and whatever. And so I think Vishal feel some of that, you know, like, oh, I'm here with my friends, like I'm just gonna have this margarita.
Do you know what would be interesting? I'm just thinking about it because VH1 used to have Sober House and all that kind of stuff. If they ever went there with Bravo, of getting some Bravo celebrities that maybe struggle with drinking, and put them in a house and kind of do a therapeutic setting. Again, it's like reminiscing of the Dr. Drew show in the 90s,
but
or the early aughts.
To agree to that, even like
you'd have to pay him a lot of money.
It's like,
well, and then you're going into childhood trauma and healing, trying to get in touch with because sometimes, you know, with alcoholism, you're just trying to numb out that like hurt child, and you know, there's many reasons, but numb out the shame and the hurt child that's inside of you. And like, you'd have to, like Dorinda, you just have to really work on her because she would just get, I'm assuming, like really mean and really nasty. Yeah. And especially just like recovery houses, you know, there would be like, I mean, I'm not going to say it's entertaining, but people would there'd be a lot of anger.
Yeah, I'd worry about like the exploitative aspect.
That's the thing.
Like, because it is like, if someone is choosing treatment like that, or like accepting that, hey, there's something I want to change in my life around this substance abuse, like putting it on TV,
That's
I never
actually a
saw
really
that
good
show.
point. I was
Sober
obsessed
House. Really?
with Sober. Oh my gosh, I watched every episode.
Did it feel exploitative, or
Bob Forrest, who I love now, and he has a really great addictions podcast that I'm addicted to called Don't Die Podcast. So shout out to them.
I love that you're like, it's an addictions podcast that I'm addicted to.
Yeah, I'm like, I love it because
a good addiction.
He's a counselor, and his co-host is a counselor, and they do addiction, and they just talk about what's going on in drugs right now and music and other kind of stuff. But him and Dr. Drew always said that and they had celebrities on. They used to have an old podcast together, and they would say, like, they would bring the celebrities that were on, and they would be like, it was the best thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm not saying all of them felt that, but again, it did get a lot of, because people will want it to come back and have asked Dr. Drew, and Dr. Drew's like VH1, I think people there thought it was exploitive. And so
okay.
But my thing is like, I always say, I'm a component of, or an advocate for, don't give people a contract. I'm not talking about Vishal, if they have a substance abuse problem. Instead of giving them a contract, put that money, I mean, these people have more money, but just be like, you need to be in like a sober blah 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 blah, and have a sober companion on with you. It doesn't have to be on screen, but behind the scenes, and that's the only way you'll be let on, because it's just like these alcohol fueled, which turn into, oh, this is fun, but then they usually turn into rages. I feel like it's not great,
Well, and I think, unfortunately, the network, instead of doing what you're suggesting, is almost promoting that these people go out and get a little bit, litty, as they say.
I think the most courageous thing that Bachelor did was do the 2-drink
minimum.
I do believe that's incredibly important.
Well, when you start having people feel like they have been taken advantage of sexually because they didn't know what was going on and things. I mean, I think they were like, you're right. Like, congratulations to them for doing that, because they didn't have to. They probably knew, like, this will turn into something even worse and we'll get just like, it'll end. But yeah, like, there has to be some sort of responsibility on the network side of things. Right.
And now that I'm thinking about it, one of my favorite shows is Below Deck.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that you watch them go through like this stressful 3 to 4 day, or no, it's usually 3 days of just like, working around the clock.
Yeah.
And then the camera follows them.
And then they go out. Yeah.
They go out. And when I say they go out, like, they party so hard.
Oh my God.
Like, I'm talking
all
like
night.
Falling out of the hot tub all night, falling out of the hot tub, hitting their head. Just like, and then it like, in this most recent of Below Deck Adventure, which they're in Norway.
Yeah.
It's like the the third episode. Like, some guy gets so hammered, like he pees and poops in the toilet, and then like in the morning, I think he still might be drunk, and he threatens his black roommate.
Oh my God.
And it's like, what?
Like, in a racially charged way?
I don't know. He's from the South.
Oh,
and,
okay.
The black, he's so hot. The black man is from the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And he wears it's so hard, because it's like, you don't want to generalize, but he wears a cowboy hat, and he's just like, he calls himself the Viking cowboy. But it's like, and shout out to the captain, because the captain was like, I will not, you're off, like, you're done.
Yeah.
But we see this like so much, like with Vanderpump Rules of just like getting absolutely obliterated.
I know. And it's on all the shows. I mean, Summer House, Winter House, like
what's going on in Winter House? Are they drinking on Winter House right now?
Oh my God.
Is it good
Patrick
or not
and
good?
I are watching it because Patrick loves Summer House and Winter House.
I mean, like this is like shout out to like the biggest Winter House or Summer House fan is not even on mic right now.
Yeah. But so I've been watching it with him, and it's a 17-day vacation in Vermont. Every single night they're having a huge party where like the house is trashed the next morning. Like,
who is cleaning up?
It's probably some combination of them, and like maybe they hire some crew.
Are Tom there the whole time, or Tom in and out?
Came for a couple days. They came for like a weekend, and they were like tame compared to these. Yeah, like, and they're the like
Kyle
mixologists. Yes, Kyle is there getting
Is he drinking?
Obliterated every single night. Like, it's just Craig from Southern Charm.
Does he drink heavily?
Oh my God. And he becomes such a piece of shit too when he drinks.
His girlfriend? His girlfriend's so cute.
Not just to his girlfriend, like just to everyone around him. He's just like a shitty human being. So anyway, this is all to say,
I think this is good stuff, because it's like, when do we, the audience, say enough is enough? Like,
yeah. I mean, I'm curious to hear from our listeners, like, what do you think of this storyline? Like, and it's not over, right? Like, there's going to be more this season. I think I appreciate seeing, like, it's messy, you know? Like, I'm not taking sides. I'm not saying one person is right or the other. But like, I appreciate Richa opening up about like how it's hard behind the scenes, and like these are the reasons why, and Vishal opening up about like why he wants to take that drink. Like, these are things that people in everyday life deal with all the time.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just like he has cameras on him, and I couldn't imagine how stressful that is.
Totally, absolutely. So that's like a whole thing that was a big through line in these 2 episodes and the whole season, really.
Yeah.
So then the other thing that happens in season 3 or in episode 3 is Amrit's parents come to meet Amrit and Nicholas, and they're asking, you know, are your parents gonna come to like some of the pre-wedding planning stuff? And Nicholas is just like, no. They'll be at the wedding. And it was, I almost like started crying when he was like, you know, they told me, often for evangelical families, like, you tell them you're gay and it's the end of the road. Yeah. And my parents have told me like it's not the end of the road, and that's huge,
he's grateful
for him. Yeah. And it's like, you know, it's just, I don't know, it's just really emotional. And also they did a remembrance for Nani, who died over the summer. So, but Amrit was so glad that he was able to really open up to her. And that scene, oh my God, from season 2, so amazing. Just so, again, so emotional.
Yeah, and so groundbreaking, and like something we've never seen on television before, which is what Family Karma brings us.
Never have we ever seen that. Okay, so then we also get some answers about the Patels and their invitation status to Vishal and Richa's wedding.
It's still a little foggy.
Well, okay, so Sean and Dylan were straight up not invited to Vishal's wedding. He said it's because he was not invited to Sean's wedding.
That's why I'm just like, it's still foggy.
But I mean, it's just so sad to see like these childhood friends. Like, I mean, I don't think they talk to each other. I'm also
of the sound mind. I think you and I talk about all the time. I'm on the sound mind of like, I feel like people keep like harmful relationships and toxic relationships.
True.
Because of they're like, but we have a history together.
Yeah.
And it's like, true. Fuck that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying this is the case with this, but it's just like history and time only shows the person who they are.
Yes, that's true. It's like, I think I want to acknowledge that it's sad to see that they aren't able to be friends.
I hope you don't feel like I'm discounting
it's for the best.
Yeah.
No. I think like, and what you're saying is like, sometimes a toxic relationship is just that, and you need to let it go.
Yeah, you know what I mean? When people are
Yeah.
like, but we've known each other since elementary school, and like they F each other
Yeah.
over. And it's like, why that? And when history is just repeating itself in that,
Yes.
it's just a hamster wheel you're going around.
Totally. And I've definitely had some friendships where I'm like, I've tried to hold on to them because they've been so long. And it's like, but is that it?
Yes, it's serving you at this point.
Yeah, like is that enough to make it worth it to hold on to it if you don't even like the person anymore? Or you have some problem, like whatever. Like, yeah, that's
again, history only shows them someone who they are.
Yeah,
I believe.
But so they did invite Kalpana Auntie
to
the wedding, and she didn't go because she had another friend's wedding to attend. She didn't seem like pissed about it.
I think
she
it's
seems very real to me.
I think it's interesting that she's even on the show.
Yeah, well, she's definitely in the auntie crowd. She's at all the auntie parties.
Yeah, she was on the last episode.
Yeah, I mean, I think here's the deal: is like the Patels. Whether or not Sean and Dylan are part of it, like the Patels are like a centerpiece of this community, like they're friends with everyone. They host all the parties. Like, so like you can't just erase them from the mix, which is why I was like, how are they going to keep this going without them in some sense? So it makes sense to me that Kalpana is still a part of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting just to kind of get a final answer about like, who was invited to whose wedding, and now we know. And okay, then Brian and Rish had this workout session where they're talking about, Rish is like, I want Monica to move in with me. And yeah, and like, I think then that prompts Monica to ask her dad about it. And this was the part that I loved was...
That's so interesting, yeah. When the
grandmother, like learning more about her daddy. Like, and this is what we have to remember. I think sometimes I need to like remind myself is like, because someone grew up in a different era doesn't mean that they don't have progressive feelings or values, that maybe they felt like a fish out of water in the society they were living in. I think anyone listening to this can probably relate to that on some level. Like, and just to see that like she didn't even want to get married, like for any number of reasons, and she did it like in the interests of her younger sisters. But it was clear as day. Monica's like, do you think I should move in with Rishi? She's like, yeah.
Why not? I know. It's like, and like just moving like that is just like further is just like, I guess like I initially thought the dad was against it.
Yeah.
But then he was saying at the party he doesn't care. It's their problem.
I think...
or not problem, it's their
I think he's
choice.
Like, I can't control my 30-year-old daughter in this way. And yet I am also going to talk to Rishi to make sure that his intention is to marry my daughter at some point. Because that's the protective father in him. But I think he's also like, I can't control my daughter. I can't tell her not to move in. But would I prefer that she was engaged? Sure. And I'll tell her that, but I'm also not going to like stop her from doing what she wants.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see like how what was painted, I think, in seasons 1 and 2 is like, this is the way it's going to be and there's no changing it. Like everyone in this dynamic is like having to bend and change a little.
Right. Like I even think of like her boyfriend, and it's like, okay, like if I live with Monica, her dad's might be over a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like what's that dynamic going to be like?
You know, that's also a different dynamic.
Well, I think so. Then in episode 4, when they're talking about it, they're like making the fried rice together and talking. Like, I really liked that conversation because I feel like Rishi was really trying to like have a reasonable conversation with Monica, and they were like really communicating well, I thought, which you don't always see. she was like,
especially on Bravo.
well, yeah, he's like, let's be real. The real estate market's crazy right now. And to be fair, like, I think I've read that Miami's real estate market is the most expensive in America right now.
Okay.
And this was during that period last year when it was truly at like all-time highs.
Yes.
Before the interest rates started going up and housing prices started dropping.
Okay.
But affordability is still at an all-time low. And so he's like, we need a big house. Like, we need a house, like, for us to grow in together. And that's not probably going to happen in the next month or so. So, like.
And she seemed like that's
just
understandable.
managing expectations. Well, and she was also like, well, I you just asked me to, like, ask my parents and we're not even going to do this. She was, like, a little angry about that. And then she was like, you know what? I'm going to, like, be real with you. Like, how do I fit into your life? Like, how is this going to go? And that forced him to kind of be like, listen, I know what you want and I think we're aligned. And like, I'm not going to, he said, I'm not going to show all my cards, which I think means like in terms of the engagement, he wants to keep it's a little bit like under wraps, kind of.
Now we know never happened.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like, I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're still broken up, right? Like they can't, like, I don't know, maybe.
They unfollowed each other and then she deleted all the pictures and then.
But they follow each other again now.
But they follow each other.
And they definitely like hung out at some point. But no, I don't think they're dating again.
And who is this Missy girlfriend?
Okay, so let's talk about Nirja.
Okay.
So Rishi's younger brother Sonith has this girlfriend named Nirja. I'm confused why they're blurring her face out because she has like 30,000 followers on Instagram.
Girl.
Yeah, she's like,
maybe she was like, I want to get paid, and they're like, nope.
Maybe, yeah. So her Instagram handle is Nirjalicious. If anyone is curious to see photos of her,
can you spell it?
Nirja Licious, Licious, and I mean, she's like a hot Instagram girl, basically. And like all of her photos are like hot photos of her. And I'm like, she clearly doesn't mind having her face out there. So why are we blurring it on Bravo?
Oh, wow. Yes. Oh, yeah. She's very, very pretty. Maybe she wanted to get paid and good for her. Oh, wait, is she doing ads?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how she got a following like that. That's like Instagram model status, kind of.
What is this?
I don't know. Anyway, so
she's doing vitamins?
Oh, she is doing ads.
Wow,
I'm
the
not
gummy
looking at her
stars
page right now.
Okay, girl.
So
well,
she's
I don't blame her for wanting to get paid.
Yeah, but so apparently her and Monica don't like each other, which they address on the show. Like Amrit's like, no, they're not each other's favorite people. So then she's telling him that Rish may have cheated, or she thinks Rish cheated on Monica, which is like, that is kind of like not a very like solid claim. I mean, who knows what she actually said to Amrit? But I say, so what do you think about all of this? Like in terms of, should Amrit have said anything at the brunch? Like, should he have gone to Monica and Rishi?
Brunch.
Like,
maybe one-on-one with I think it's like back when I was younger. I mean, it is a reality show, right? So he has to say something at the brunch when everyone's there. But then it's like,
and he's had 9 mimosas.
Yes. Oh, and like that's the thing about also drinking is like loose lips sink ships.
Oh yeah, it's all gonna come out if you've had 9 mimosas.
I mean, we've all been there. It's like you're kind of like a little lit, and you're like, I really shouldn't tell you this, and then it all comes out, and then you wake up, you're like, oh damn.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't understand. Anisha heard something through the grapevine?
No. So Anisha just heard what she heard at brunch.
Okay, I was confused. Okay.
And I'm kind of like, why does she want to tell Monica if she hates her so much? You know, like we know now that they're friends again, but like at this point, it seemed like they were not talking. I'm like, why does she even care?
I mean, maybe she was afraid it was going to come back to her. Like she was reveling in it. Does that make sense?
Well, then she said to Bali, oh, yeah, like she doesn't want it. Yeah, I see what you mean.
It makes me think of just pivoting to Potomac, it makes me think of Candace telling Ashley about Michael. About like, I don't want to, I think she was the one, right? Or was it Giselle? I want to say it was.
It's like your enemy breaking the bad news to you.
Yeah.
Is like,
just like when it was like, there's been pictures of Michael in his tighty whities at the casino.
Yeah. That photo.
Like so shady.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. I'm very grateful not to see that man on my, I mean, like I was looking at Ashley. I look at Ashley all the time. I'm like, how did he get her?
I don't know, because like, Ashley is so fucking stunning. It's unreal.
The whole cast is unreal. And Ashley is just so beautiful. And I was thinking, because I was watching Potomac last night, I was like, the amount that she drinks in her body, how does this happen?
Well,
she's never without a Corona.
It's true. But she probably doesn't drink like every day or anything like that, you know? Okay. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I guess Anisha, like, and then she's like, you know, this is why I don't want to tell people about my relationship, which is like,
and I get it.
Okay. But like, yeah, like is the worry, I guess my question, like, is the worry is that it's going to be brought out on national television and you don't want that type of exposure? Because even if it's like your friends are going to talk no matter what, so you just don't want anyone to ever say anything about your relationship, which is just not tenable, right? Like, people are going to talk. She managed to
do it. I mean, she got married, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she managed to keep the relationship for the most part under wraps and control it in a very public space. And when I say public, of producers, albeit like nosy producers, a cast who I'm assuming some of them were digging a little, you know, and I think she actually, for Bravo, she did a very successful job, because we are seeing, like in Potomac, Karen's boyfriend being brought up again. It's like, Bravo is like, you know, I feel like some things, like seasons in Bravo usually consist of someone trying to get the skeleton key to unlock like all the secrets, you know, and that's usually like one person's motive for the season.
Yeah. So then that just makes me come back to like, Anisha, if you really don't want your relationship out there, you need to like be off of the show.
Yeah. I think this is her like swan song, you know, of just being like, if I had to guess.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I have a feeling
she doesn't even live in Miami.
I have a feeling she is going to introduce the world to her husband at some point, and then everyone's going to just get over it, and then she'll maybe keep going. I mean, I don't know. The whole thing, there's something about it that feels like a little disingenuous to me. Still,
I think like before I was like, why aren't you letting us in? And now I understand more.
Yeah.
But I still like, I'm just not sure why she signed on to the show.
Yeah, it's like
for this season.
I mean,
maybe she already signed the contracts and she's like, shit, I got to do it.
I feel like maybe she started. No, she started dating her boyfriend before the season started. Yeah, maybe it was just like the timeline was whatever. I don't know. I think that I think she still wants to be on the show without having to show her fiance or her husband, and that's just not going to fly.
And we're not looking for another Lisa Rinna, right?
Yeah,
we're not looking for another Lisa Rinna that kind of like. And I'm not saying, listen, I'll take Anisha any day. Like, Lisa Rinna is evil. Yeah. Anisha is not evil. Anisha is actually like a good person.
Yes,
But like, you know, it's like when I say Lisa Rinna, I mean like, oh, okay, like keep it nice and light in my own, you know, my own corner, and then get into the boxing ring and like kind of throw punches. And Anisha's not, to her credit, but like, like kind of gaslight other people into showing their shit.
Yeah, exactly. No, totally. I mean,
and speaking of, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills taking a break
because shit is so bad over there.
But what was so bad? Can we just talk about this for 2 seconds? What was bad? Like, is it because like who's in
Lisa
the
Rinna?
Like Lisa's in the bad, right? Am I wrong?
It's just her. But and like Kathy, I think.
Why don't they just get rid of both of them?
Kathy's become controversial in a not great way.
But like, okay, but we've already kind of known that. Why not
and
get rid of them?
also, like, the new casting that, what's her name? Diana, or was that her name? The new cast member. She sucks. Like, apparently they're axing Crystal, which I'm really not happy about. Like,
Why
I don't
they
know.
Is it time to axe Kyle? Just saying.
No.
It's not time.
You can't get rid of Kyle.
Okay.
Like, Kyle's a mess, but Kyle is the heart and soul of Beverly Hills.
Okay.
But, okay.
I want to bring back Brandy. I think I'm the only one.
No, I want Brandy back too.
Oh, you do?
I do. And apparently Anisha was on Brandy's podcast this past week.
Really?
I haven't heard it, but I would like to hear it because those are two interesting personalities to get on a podcast together.
Although the thing is Brandy goes into her history and opens up about her life, and Anisha doesn't. We're still stuck with, you know,
but
what I mean?
Anisha does on her podcast.
Okay.
I have to say, Anisha does say a lot more on her podcast. Sometimes it's very contradictory, though, from what we see on the show, and even what she says herself. Particularly when it comes to her husband and revealing who he is and stuff. So that's why I say sometimes it feels a little disingenuous to me. I just don't really think she's showing her whole hand, and that's okay. Like, that's her prerogative, but it's a little frustrating for me as like a viewer, and like a listener of her podcast. Okay, so we had this Guyanese brunch at the Benny's house, which was so cute. And
it was adorable.
It was really nice to see them featuring West Indian culture and cuisine because, as they said,
I
like,
actually
sometimes...
I pulled Andrew in for that part.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Because I was like, look at this food, because this is incredible.
Yeah, and also it's like, I think sometimes West Indians are considered less than or whatever within the South Asian community, which is really, it's stupid. I mean, ethnically, they're the same in every way and have so many traditions that cross over. And I don't know, I think the differences are cool and beautiful, but and
shout out to Lefferts Garden in Brooklyn that like had like the West Indian community there, and I actually went to like, I wish I knew the name, but a really great restaurant.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, is there a West Indian restaurant in Boulder County?
I don't think so. The baby's waking up. Let me go get him really fast. I'll be right back. Okay, so the brunch was cool. It was nice to see the aunties and uncles kind of convening and having fun with each other. I loved when Dharma auntie was like, happiness is the best, and like, fuck everything else or whatever.
I know.
I'm like, yes, this woman, I love her. Okay, so then there's this Bali. Now we find out what happens with Bali and her ex-husband, which was kind of, yeah. What did you think about that? Yeah,
I think it's just, I think it was really courageous to let us in, the viewer, because to what's going on and the truth. Again, like, I think we talked about that there have been Bravo members, not even just on Family Karma, that don't want to expose us to what's going on.
Yeah.
And to talk about, you know, I think it's like what we talked about with Bali. She has had like these two different lives, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there's something so brave and courageous of being like, I don't want to say two steps back, but just being like, this is the shift that has to happen in my life.
Yeah.
Because my daughter is the most important thing in my life.
Totally. I mean, so here, just so I'm clear on what happened. So her ex-husband put the down payment down on the house 15 years ago when she left. And now he's like, I won't pay for Anushka's tuition unless you sell this house. Not that he needs the money from the house to pay for it because he's uber wealthy. But he's just like, that's the only way I'll do this. That's what happened, right?
Yeah, I'm wondering, just as someone who's dealt with a lot of lawyers and parents who have gotten divorced, I wonder if it is like that part of the divorce contract was done And so it's the reevaluating. If it was set in like parts, the contract that they both signed in the divorce, or if it was like, we will revisit this once Anushka is of this age.
Oh, interesting.
Because is she 20 or 18?
I think she's probably 20 now.
So yeah, if it's like as soon as Anushka turns 20, this is what I'm just wondering. Again, I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, maybe Bali thought like it would be crazy for him to like. I mean, it seems vindictive. It seems like I'm taking this away from you because I'm mad at you for leaving all those years ago, and this is the only way I'm going to take care of my daughter in this way. And what she said about like, do you think she wouldn't care about losing her childhood home is like really true, you know? Like, I don't know. And then just like watching her like packing up her house and moving the trash on the street. I love it. She's like, I don't think I'm supposed to leave this here, but I'm just going to go ahead and leave. And I'm like, that's me.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because I'm of like the life lesson, you know, the universe has a way of kind of like throwing you a curveball just when you're like, okay, things are situated. I'm not saying that happens with everyone. I noticed that patterns in my life happen like that. And I mean, there's a reason why, which she hasn't said explicitly, of why she got away, why she was like, this is enough.
Yeah.
You know,
and it was clearly pretty serious, like for her and her happiness to not be in that marriage anymore and to make such a drastic decision. I mean, when she told us she like literally picked up Anushka and went to the airport, no planning, like whatever. I mean, that to me is like, this is a make it or break it situation. Like, I have no other options left. I need to just do this.
Yeah. And like a tiger doesn't change his spots sometimes, you know, people do change and people don't change. And I mean, again, it sucks. And I think that also, I think these are the important things that we you know, Bali, of course, is so gracious in letting us see this as audience members. But like, things are fucking messy. Divorce is messy, you know, and
even 15 years down the line, 15 years, right?
And you know, it's hard because like, I feel like there's a trend in society right now, which, you know, was kind of created with Goop, which is like the conscious uncoupling. And I feel like the media thinks that we should have all these expectations of like, we should be more like this couple that like gets along, or like ease into separation, or even 15 years down the line, support each other, show up at each other's like blah blah blah. But it's like that's not usually, like not usually, but that doesn't happen. Yes, it's great when you have like, when you're like Gwyneth Paltrow and you have all the money and you have all the resources and you have nannies or whatever it is, but like that, people's day-to-day reality is not tied up in a bow like that. And like, I really think, you know, Bali for showing us like, you know, Sutton walks around, not, you know, I do have a soft spot for Sutton, but you know, Sutton's like, I got half, you know, and it's like walking around and just spending money and like not really having a job and stuff like that. And we see that in Bravo, but like there's another reality happening.
And you know, I've been seeing comments online which really have shocked me, people being like, Bali didn't plan enough for this. Like, it's her fault that she couldn't pay for Anushka. It's like, listen.
That says so much about the person commenting.
I mean, exactly. It's like, there are clearly expectations set when they divorce. Like, she entered into that marriage with someone who has astronomical amounts of money, and she's clearly expected all this time that was something he was going to take
and let's say something like, say like if she wants to get the house and she wants to keep the house and she wants to do whatever, I want that person who commented to tell me how much they think an hourly, like a lawyer costs per hour.
Oh my god, so
you know
true.
what I'm talking about.
Yes, yeah.
And how long they think that proceeding will go. and how much money over time will just be thrown into that, not to mention for the down payment of the house. So have them like come my way, because I would really like to, someone who pays a lawyer monthly.
Yeah.
I would really love for them to like just come up with some figures. Now I'm getting heated because it's don't fuck with Bali like that. Don't even talk about planning financially.
No, it's like you never have the whole picture when you make a judgment like that.
And we're fucking like, we're Monday, what is it, couch quarterbacks? I fucking hate sports, but like,
oh yeah.
What is it? Monday morning at the cooler quarterbacks?
Yeah. I
We're
know
at
what
you're
you're trying to say.
Quarterbacks.
It's on the tip of my tongue, but
you know what I mean? And so it's just like
the
it's just like, and also it's just like I wrote on Twitter, which I will say on this fucking podcast, not this fucking podcast, our fucking podcast.
Yes.
Just because Elon Musk owns a social media platform like Twitter and is allowing racists and bigots and all this hate to be spewed in, and not to mention, I will say, mental illness that's not being treated on a big platform that we are on, does not mean you get to fucking feed into that and be hateful and spiteful and make fun of people and comment like you don't have shit in your own plate. I am done. I am unfollowing a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I have no fucking tolerance for this shit, you know? And it's like, just because the Proud Boys are back on Twitter doesn't mean you can be a fucking asshole and show like, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, message me and I'd love to support you and just like talk to you about like, why do you feel the need to be such a jerk online?
Yeah.
The buck stops here. I'm so sick of it. And like, I'm getting emotional, but like just like Potomac came on and like, listen, I'm not like a Mia stan, but like, lay off of her. Don't fucking comment about like her looks or any of that shit, or Robin. It's like, fuck, these people are letting us in. And it's like, I don't know what's going on with you that you feel the need to just comment about people's lives, rip on people and their lifestyle and whatever.
I know. And
you're
it's like, and it's with everyone. I mean, even just in this recap, we're talking about people saying shit about Richa, people saying shit about Bali.
People have been saying shit about Lopa
Notice
Auntie.
It's often about women. It's often about women.
On Bravo. This is a big deal. This is a really big deal in the Bravo community.
Joe Gorga?
What about like all those Jersey dudes? I mean, I don't want to rip on anyone. You know what I mean? Because I do believe that it's like, fucking
I'm okay with ripping on Joe Gorga. I just have to say that.
I say just like look into yourself, go for a walk and say, why do I feel the need to let my fingers punch in these hateful, like negative ideas that actually to me just say like you have low self-efficacy? And it's just like, I'm not saying that's like that is the core of it, you know?
Yeah. No, and it's totally...
I'm sorry I'm going off. Actually, I'm not sorry. It's just like this needs to be said because like Elon Musk is out of control and we have... It's like Twitter is the Wild West and not in like this really beautiful
not
like cinematic way.
No. And it's...
So stop ripping on people.
Yeah, it's like... it's scary to see what's happening on a platform that was already...
Is Instagram like that? Are people sending you shit on like Family Karma?
Oh yeah, people comment on posts and say like they just go off in the comments.
Oh my gosh. Is it going to be bad if I post like 1-800? And I'm not even doing this to be a bitch. Well, I am a bitch, but I'm not saying it to be mean, but like I do believe... And I've been there. Trust me. It's like, oh, who does she think she is? And it's like, I am definitely working on that because I felt like we've been taught like society that no one can be on the top. It's like, especially as women, if you're on the top, we got to cut you down. No one can be the prettiest. No one can be the smartest. No one can have it all. And it's like, we need to work on that. You know, especially the women out there, the sisterhood, like it's broken, and let's like build it up. Let's build each other up. Let's just stop with the nonsense.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just going off because it's getting bad.
It is bad. And I think that anytime that I've felt the need to be just like ruthless and whatever, it's usually coming from a place of hurt, like within myself.
100%.
And
girl.
so I think that, like, you know, if people are doing that, that's probably what's going on, which sometimes makes me able to look past it better. But it also is like, if I'm Bali reading those comments, people telling me that I didn't do enough for my daughter and I'm a fuck up and all this, like, fuck that, you know? She's a real person who might be reading that stuff, and that's like not okay. And like, yeah, I mean, and so it is like an unfortunate reality of being on a network.
And it's like, would you say that to her face? You know what I mean? Would you say that to Bali's face?
Exactly. Would you go up to her and be like, you're a fuck up and you fucked up your daughter's life?
That's the problem.
Yeah. And we've said this so many times, but it bears repeating again. It's like, this is the issue with social media and these keyboard warriors and just feeling like, I'm just typing this into a screen. No one's actually reading it or caring. It's like, no, people do. It's out there forever. And not to mention,
people like Elon Musk are like, free speech, go for it. Fucking hate on each other. You know, show guns by my bedside. Anything goes, you know, and you know, it's like, for me, sometimes I think about like, what would be the opposite of Donald Trump? What would, you know, Donald Trump would probably be the one who to criticize these Bravo celebrities or pop culture figures or someone in front of me for XYZ. But it's like, what would be the opposite? You know what I mean? Like, what would Gloria Steinem do? You know, who... I'm just trying to think of like Maya Angelou. And I know I'm like kind of grasping into thin air at these women's names, but it's just like, do the opposite of what Donald Trump would do, because like the easiest thing is to hate, you know.
When in doubt, do the opposite of what Donald Trump would do,
or say
that's
because
our
let me
new
tell
tagline.
You, we're coming up to not midterms, but we're coming up to the election. And there's going to be plenty of hate in this country, and this world still is, to be thrown around. And what does it take to deflect it and say, you know what, I'm going to take 5 steps back and just kind of create a path of love and
channel
acceptance.
my energy somewhere else.
Channel my energy
because
and connect.
That hate is taking energy that could be used for something better.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, it's like, it's interesting, like when we get into these seasons, and I personally feel like protective of this cast.
Of course, yes, 100%,
and especially Bali. Just after speaking with Bali last week, and just like this was life altering, life changing. Like,
why would you kick someone
like,
when they're down?
It is gonna feel like a step back when you're moving into your parents' house,
especially on Bravo, where you have like people like Adrian, what's her name, owning basketball teams. I mean, she's from so long ago, but like with Diana having people to set up her hotels and do ghost stories and like or whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, you're like Ghostbusters. I'm like ghost stories, but like it's we can't kick people when they're down, either in Bravo or in real life. And if you're that kind of person, say it, look in the mirror and say it. Just say, I kick people when I'm down, and look at yourself in the mirror and how does that feel?
Yes, 100%. So
sorry, I'm just like getting on my therapist like diatribe, but it's so important. There's so much fucking hate right now, and I don't look at the darkness, look at the light.
Yes. And I'm curious to see like if Bali is still living with her parents now, like what her status is now. She didn't say that during her interview because this hadn't really come out yet. But yeah, so there was that. And then I think the last thing to discuss is Brian's date with Avni.
Right.
And just Avni in general. We kind of see her place and get to talk to her a little bit more. Yeah. I mean, clearly they're not going to work out, right?
No.
Like, I have no...
And shout out to Avni for, like, getting a platform. I'm serious, to, like, promote her book and like promote
Absolutely.
like what she does. It's like uplift people like that. Like, yeah, buy her book. I'm not sure what
Totally.
her criteria is for writing that book. I would like to hear more of that. Whether
Well,
she's
when
a
did
life
she
coach
write it?
or
Another
I don't know.
interesting thing is that she dated Neil Patel, who, remember that podcast that was hosted with Dylan and one of the
Yes.
cousins?
Oh, that was
was
Neil?
the one. Yeah. So they like that's, but apparently they dated like almost a decade ago. So
Oh yeah.
it's not really a thing, but she's been single for a really long time. But yeah, I mean, they seemed like they were vibing, like they liked each other.
Sure, go
She
make
liked
out.
seeing him lick his hand.
Yeah. Especially during COVID times, that's something else.
It was COVID times, wasn't it?
Yeah, which is interesting because my dogs lick my hands, and I'm like, aw. And then it's like, no one else can lick my hands.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, they're definitely, there's more to see, I think, with them. But Brian was saying at BravoCon he's single. So they're clearly not dating now. I mean, there's not a hope. Like, even if all the like gossip about like, oh, an older woman and a younger guy wasn't going around, I just don't think that they're really like, they clearly like each other enough, but not enough to like date.
Okay, can I have a request from you? Because you know Photoshop a little bit more. I'm not saying you have more time, but when you're just totally fucked out and watching some shitty TV, can we have an updated Winter House with Austin taken out and Brian Benny?
And Brian put in? Yes.
And can we have that in our made picture? Like,
we
like
need
not even
that.
in this, like, or if someone else wants to do it, like,
you know what? I'm just gonna put like black over Austin's face, just like turn him into like a shadow, and then put Brian next to him.
Is that a pain in the ass? Like, I'm serious. Where do we get the petition for this?
Well, I did what I'll try and do one, but I mean, I think Brian would be so perfect in Winter House. Like he's, yeah. I mean, so Brian's 30, like. That's
perfect
not
age for Winter
20s,
House.
But it's still pretty young, I think, in some ways. Like, and he clearly is just enjoying his partying lifestyle. I mean, I'm watching his stories on Instagram. He's at his 4th wedding in Cancun this year.
Wow.
Just like going for it. Yeah. I'm like, whoa. So yeah, I mean, we'll see more of them. Avni seems like a very like nice and lovely person.
Exactly.
Her and Richa like are buddies, and so I love everything about Richa. So that makes me feel like she must be cool too. Oh baby, I know.
Oh, I feel bad that you're multitasking.
So I probably need to wrap up because baby's getting so mad at me. But okay, the last thing though is. Should Brian have told Rishi about the rumor before Amrit did?
I don't know. You're on a television show. I don't know either. So that's why I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I feel like it's a tough one. I mean,
it is.
It's his friend, and he said he wasn't trying to do damage control, but I'm kind of like, then what were you trying to do? You know?
I know.
Like, oh, baby. Okay.
We should wrap this
up. That's my call to go. We love you guys. We hope you enjoyed this double episode recap. We'll have more next week. Okay.
Okay. Namaste, bitch.
Namaste, bitches.
Namaste, bitches.